All right. So I was really hurting, and I realized it was time to just get back on the work. And I'll tell you something. This jumps around a lot. I was listening to Father Sam, an NA speaker, and I wasn't feeling it. I don't know why. Maybe it's all my resentments. I don't know. But I was like, I need to get back on this work. So that's what I decided to do. So the beginning of the step 4 inventory in Joe and Charlie, how not how it works. We're going into the 4th step inventory now. All right. Actually starts down here. Okay. And that's going to be at 111. All right. Now when we go over here, it jumps around a lot. He's not saying verbatim with the book, so it's hard to pay attention, but this is part of Alcoholics Anonymous. They check to see if you're paying attention, right? And this is how they get you to pay attention. They don't say things verbatim, so they want to see if you're paying attention. All right, so right down in the second paragraph here, a time element is involved in this paragraph. It says that we take this step at once. We heard a professional counselor counseling people not long ago, telling them to wait 2 or 3 years to take their inventory. Our question to him was, so how many people have you killed with that advice? That's going to be a 134, working the 4th step. And instead of how many people have you killed with that advice, the word he says is statement. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it for myself, and it's not cheat notes. Some people really have a hard time going through this work because it jumps around so much that they can't even do it. It's not accessible to them. It's like, it's like if you can't read and you got to listen to speaker tapes to do the work, that kind of thing to me. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if it's wrong, but for me, this is kind of, I'm going to do this anyways. But would I do this with other people? Well, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to do a big book workshop and you're going to do this as a workshop, you want people to stay on the same page. Everyone wants to know what page they're on. And it's fun when you're all whacked out and cracked out on coffee and you're struggling for pages. That can be a fun process too. That's how you get to know people. We are trying to find a way to have peace of mind and serenity and happiness as long as we're running our lives on self-will. We can't have peace of mind. This is peace of mind. We didn't have it before we got here on self-will. And the longer I put off taking on step 4, the greater the chance of me getting drunk. Okay, so we think one of the reasons we procrastinate or put it off is fear. And around fear, that's going to be timed at 3:07 on the tape. And I know this seems really trite that I'm going through this like this in the first 15 minutes, but it does jump around a lot. But what we really need to do, step 4, in order to get well, okay? Another reason we put it off is we really don't know how to do it. There's confusion about taking step 4. Sometimes down the line, someone was looking at step 5 and there was a statement that said something about your entire life story. So we said, aha, that's it. We took our statement out of step 5 and began to write our life story as our inventory on step 4. Okay, so around 4:30, we're talking about our life story, and he says something to the effect of, I learned nothing new by writing my life story. He's going to talk about page 64. I believe this is what he's talking about, but I can't remember exactly because it jumps around a lot. So here's the reading on page 64. Alcoholics love to say that the inventory is on page 69. This is how big book muckers fuck with you. It's not on 69. They just know that everybody likes the idea of a 69 because we're a bunch of fucking sick pervert alcoholics. So everyone says it's not on 69. It's on 65. And back on 64, when we start to talk about this paragraph, therefore we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about stock and trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly first. We searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused us our failure. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations as resentment. And the number one offender, it destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From its stem, all spirit forms of spiritual disease. For we have not only been mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, and principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, we found that it was our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, or our personal relationships, including sex, that were hurt or threatened. So we were sore, we were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name of our injuries. Was it our self-esteem or self-security, our security, our ambitions, our personal or sex relations which had been interfered with? We were usually as definite as this example. All right. So I'm not going to get too much into the example, but I read that. I'm going to go to page 113 because we're going to jump around a lot here. Okay. So somewhere around 801 is the step for personal business inventory. He's talking, but it's not exactly like what's in the book. Okay, so we have on the right side, we put our personal inventory. On the left side, we put a commercial inventory. This is a fact-finding, fact-facing process, an effort to discover the truth. Okay, 4, stock and trade. One object is to 5, disclose damaged or unsaleable goods, and to 6, get rid of them promptly and without regret. It's the only way a business can be successful. That business being the business of my mind. All right. We have, we cannot fool ourselves about values. We have taken some keywords and put them on the left side under business and fact-finding, fact-facing truth about the stock and trade, your effort to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. I think that's where damaged goods fucking came from. Now, Bill says, we did exactly the same thing with our lives. We did with our lives what he told us to do. I think there's a T there. To do with the business inventory. Now, Bill loves words, and he loves words that mean the same thing. Okay, so he's going to talk about comparisons, not using the same words again. And that's kind of how they kind of trick you into sobriety, right? Because they get a lot of changing and adapting going. I think that's why people kind of like this program, right? Because there are clear-cut directions, but the words are constantly changing, which kind of, it changes your brain. Okay, so we're going to turn to page 118 in the inventory. Okay, so this is all important stuff here. This is getting us prepared. All these pages in between. But here we are, okay, and once again, we're at step 4, Bill's business inventory compared to a personal inventory. So we got the fact-finding, business, under business, and personal, it says searching. Fact-facing, under personal, it says fearless. Business, discover truth. Personal, moral. Business, stock and trade. Personal, ourselves. Okay, so the 1 are business inventory, how to be successful in business. 2, personal inventory, how to be successful at making a life. The objective, 1, to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods. 2, find flawed thinking processes. Okay, this is really important because there's nothing worse than a justified resentment. And he'll talk a lot about how, 95% of what happened in my life story really has nothing to do with being an alcoholic. It might have someone to do with someone else, being an alcoholic, like me being born in 1929, but, to paraphrase what he said there. And there are some things in life that can really bring us down. But the whole point is that, to take a drink is suicide, right? And anything I'm going through is going to be made worse, if I take a drink. Damaged goods. Stock and trade, which is damaged. A, resentments. B, fears. C, guilt and shame. Okay, so these block me off from God's will. Access to God's will is where the power comes from that will help me overcome my alcoholism of myself, trying to live a life based on self-reliance. I lack the power to succeed. I have proven this to myself over and over, which is why, without a thorough inventory, I may never get over my drinking. Self-reliance has failed me. It has, right? You hear me when I'm on my self-reliance. And even if it's true, and I'm angry, I'm justified, right? It's still not worth losing my mind over. It's still not worth rolling in the deep over to the point where I'm going to go take a drink, right? I have to get up and I have to function somehow. I can't drink over it. I can't do drugs over it. I'm just going to make it worse. I'm adding fuel to the fire. That's what happens when I take a drink or I take a drug that's unprescribed and I'm not checking my motives. I'm adding fuel to the fire. I'm not taking responsibility for my part and my decision making. Self-reliance has failed me. I cannot be free while these items are still stored inside me. I cannot make sound, rational decisions while they are the basis of my reasoning. I cannot be recovered from a seemingly hopeless condition of body and mind while they are negatively, inherently affecting the course of my life. So a businessman cannot fool himself about the value of his products just as much as an alcoholic cannot fool himself about the effectiveness of his thinking. Yeah, even if I'm bitching and I need to fucking bitch, that's one thing. But if I'm staying in it and I'm ruminating it and I'm not doing this work to get out of it, even though I don't suggest you do this on your own, it's better than nothing, right? So he's going to talk for a bit, and somewhere around 14 minutes in the tape, you're going to go back to page 113. Let's go back here. I'm going to find it. I can. I don't like mucking up the book, but I had to. All right. So somewhere around 14 minutes, he's going to take a look at step 4. And he's not going to speak directly, but you will catch it when he talks about Bill went to the dictionary. Okay. Again, looked up the word moral. It doesn't mean a list of dirty, nasty, filthy, nasty items. If he had wanted us to make a list of those things, he probably would have said immoral. But he said moral, and the dictionary says that means the truth about the facts. That is all it is. The truth about something, the difference between right and wrong of a situation. So we make a searching and fearless, truthful inventory of ourselves, our stock and trade. We are going to inventory our thinking. And that's what we say. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. I don't have a drug problem. I don't have a gambling problem. I don't have a sex problem. I've got a thinking problem. These things are but a symptom. Alcohol is but a symptom of my problematic thinking. And science has proven this to be true. The swollen amygdalas make us kind of weird. That's the end of that. So I just wanted to do that really quickly. I'm glad I found that. I'm glad I caught that. And I'm glad I turned it on because I didn't like the way I was this morning. But just kind of taping myself and keeping track of myself, my thinking, and what I'm going through and how I'm feeling about things and why I have to stay out of the room, And yeah, it sucks. Like I was told to start keeping track of things and just post it because I think it's just been so crazy and people are so scared. And I'm scared too. I'm really scared because anything can come into the rooms, and it doesn't mean that I hate the program or I hate people in the program, but sometimes, shit happens, and this has been very, very challenging, and I really had to put my big girl pants on and take responsibility for my alcoholism and just do the work anyways, regardless, because I can't afford to go out over it. If people are really in agreement that it's a genocidal disease, then I have to do the work. And it's difficult. It's challenging to change and adapt and do it on my own. And I don't recommend it. I don't represent AA or NA. I totally, absolutely 100% recommend you go to meetings. You do 90 and 90. You get a sponsor, you get a home group, you get active, you work the steps. But on the off chance that someone needs help going through this, if I were to take the time out and do this, I would probably have to redo these videos so they make sense. But you know what? Even if I get E for effort, it's better than taking a drink or a drug today. So I'm glad this is available. I'm glad I have this. The NA literature is great too. I will get into it. But right now I just wanted to do this because I was listening to the preacher talk and I was like, yeah, but I'm not hearing a lot of consistency and emotional sobriety. And he's talking truth and dropping words like truth, but I'm not hearing truth. I'm hearing a lot of disconnect. And that's not my inventory to take. Pointing that finger that way, not looking at the 3 pointing back in. So I decided to do my inventory anyways. And that's it. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.